Everything needs a process to be successful. I think that's the real key about it, because if you just go about things haphazardly through life, if you don't have a plan, life makes a plan for you. You know what I mean? So I think that's the real key, and that's the important reason to have a plan and a process to do it, because they have a plan and process on how they run their business every day. So I think they need a plan and process of how to exit it as well. I think you always have to plan for a transition, because I think most decisions in your life are made when you're not in the room for you. So I think it's important for you to be able to make those decisions yourself, because if someone else is going to make the decisions for you, then you have no input in it. So life circumstance can change that for you. A lot of different things can happen as far as health, family, things along those lines. So I think it's important for you to always be cognizant of, if I need to make a shift, when, and, be adaptable. So if you're not adaptable, then you run into other issues. It's about ownership and having the ability to make decisions, because when you work for someone else, as they say, decisions happen in life when you're not made in the room for you. And so if you don't want someone choosing your life path for you, and you want to take control of your own life, I think that's a good reason to own, because you can build your own wealth, you can run your own business, opposed to someone saying, well, this is how much you're going to make, this is the direction you're going to go. So you have more control over your life. If you're perfectly fine with, clocking in 9 to 5 and not caring where you end up and being a tumbleweed in life, ownership isn't for you. But if you don't want to be the tumbleweed that gets blown the way the direction the wind blows, ownership's the way to go. It's an interesting question, because a lot of people choose it differently. Well, there's an event that happens and they're like, oh man, I need to learn everything I need to learn to become an owner. Or there's people who always have that entrepreneurial sense and say, hey, I'm going to stick in here. I'm going to learn the business. I'm going to understand how this business works, so I can borrow the best parts of that business and take it to my next business. So I think that there are certain people who have to learn because of something that happens instantly. There are people who start in the very beginning, and when they're in vet school, they're starting to learn about owning a business then, in elective classes, to always work that path. I think there's no good time to start, but once you start, enjoy the journey. I think the one thing that makes me so different than a lot of the other people you can deal with is an industry I've been in over 20 years now. It's the only industry I've been in my life. So I have a connection to it. It's always been the path I've worked. There are people who've come into the business to find the opportunity. This is something that I've always been. I'm like Coca-Cola, like I'm just there, long standing. And I think that's one of the things that make me different from the people that you see in the industry, as well as what we bring as far as the valuation process. The valuation process is done by a third party, so the price is set by the CPA firm, and then we advocate for that price based upon the factors that gave us that price. And I think that's something that makes us different than the other brokers, as well as just having our connection to industry professionals, as far as bankers and equipment people, and a network of people who are in the industry that understand veterinary medicine, opposed to you just going to a regular business broker to do your transaction. Because a great example is, you can get when you have children and they have braces, you go to an orthodontist. Even though your braces can be done by a dentist, you go to the specialist. And I think that in this circumstance, it's the same thing. You should use a specialist that understands the business, opposed to someone who just sells a business.